We're live. Okay. Sorry, I am not in an excited mood. We just got home from camping, and I have a huge headache, guys. I rushed and we got home, unpacked, and then I only barely had 10 minutes after setting up my live stream to hurry and eat dinner, and so I just barely snagged a few bites and just barely finished my last cheeseburger before starting this marathon. You guys were 20 seconds late. Facebook is about 1 minute late. Sorry. Excuse me. Anyway, so Facebook people, welcome. You guys are 1 minute late. YouTube started only 20 seconds late. So YouTube's the only one that's on time today. But as it is, it takes me 1 minute after starting one live stream. It takes me 1 minute to start the other. As I was telling people on YouTube, we were going on a camping trip, and we got home, unpacked with only 10 minutes of spare after we were done unpacking to eat dinner. And so I just grabbed a bite and barely finished my last cheeseburger right before starting this live stream. So hence the few seconds late, but I had my live stream set up before I ate dinner, so that way it wouldn't be later than a few seconds. For Facebook, that's only 1 minute, but that's not too bad. Oh my goodness, I have a huge headache though. Not the any exciting kind of mood, I guess. But we're here to watch Once Upon a Time, so hopefully the excitement will slowly build up as we can start our show tonight. Oh my goodness. Whoa. What a camping trip. I just didn't have a chance to shower even, so luckily this is a live stream, so you can't smell the campfire on me. Am I right? Anyway, but we will start momentarily. So last week, we covered the Once Upon a Time special, Journey to Neverland. Kind of a good recap for the first two seasons for people joining for the first time, especially for people like me who, when the show was live, this was the first season I actually had to watch. The Neverland, and the second half of season 3 that I won't spoil about for any newcomers. But the Neverland arc specifically, and then but yeah, I didn't watch Journey to Neverland. That's I didn't watch that special. I joined in right during the second episode, but I was able to watch the first episode on demand. I don't know why I didn't watch the special on demand. Anyway, I was skipped the first episode because my parents said it was too violent. You know how they were threatening to kill a mermaid, and they were violent on the ship, and if they didn't learn to stop fighting, the ship would sink. If you remember the first episode. Anyway, when I was 11, my mom didn't want me to see that, so we watched episode 2 together, and she lied about it being episode 1, so I thought every episode after that was, 2 episodes each, but I was wrong, only because mom lied. But anyway, but yes, I did go back and watch that on demand, and then had to wait until it came on Disney Plus to watch the whole season again, and then watch season 1 and 2. And so anyway, yeah. And so anyway, yep. So I watched episode 2 and then episode 3, and and so and we used to watch it on Wednesday nights actually. We didn't start watching it on Sundays till the second half of season 3. I did watching the commercial breaks. Back then you couldn't fast forward even on demand. So we did hear the Once Upon a Time in Wonderland commercials. I asked mom, can't we watch that show? It's also a Once Upon a Time show. She's like, nah. So I didn't watch the Once Upon a Time Wonderland series until way later, but because it was airing at the same time as season 3. But yeah, we are watching the first arc that I watched live. The Neverland arc. Brings back old memories of our first watch of the show in 2013 for us. The show started in 2011 though. But anyway, yeah, I spilled this whole backstory of how I came to fall in love with Once Upon a Time over in my Once Upon a Time video that we did at the end of July. Instead of watching Once Upon a Time episodes in our marathon, I hosted that video. So if you want to go watch my whole spill about how I fell in love with Once Upon a Time and how I got attached to the franchise and all my Once Upon a Time merchandise, go watch that video. It's not too far on my list. It's a recent video I made a couple weeks ago, so it shouldn't be too far. You shouldn't even have to scroll, I don't think. This is our second live stream since I've posted that video, so yeah. Sorry, I just have a huge headache right now. Oh my gosh. Maybe I should not slept on the way home. Oh, ouch. It did ruin my sleeping schedule very badly. Ouch. Man, it's the worst time to get a headache. It didn't start that way when I was setting up the live stream. It was only after I was done setting it up that I started going like, ow. So, anyway. Well, we'll start in 5 minutes. I have nothing else to say. Just give a few more people to notice that I'm on live and jump on before we start the show. Who knows? Maybe this will be one of the weeks just like last week where we kind of start on time, not like 7:05, 7 o'clock sharp. I mean, a lot of times it's 7 o'clock, and then we're like, oh, 7:01, gotta get started. 7:02. Oh my goodness, I have a huge headache right now. It is bothering me like heck. Ouch. Ouch. Okay, well, ouchie, ouch. So yes, for anyone who's been new here, you should know this by now, but um, feel free to leave some questions and comments in the section, and I will promise to read them and look after them when we're done with the 3 episodes. Q&A from 9:15 to 9:30. Ouch. I have a headache. Ouch. Really bad. Okay, well, I hope the show will help make it go away. Maybe when I stop talking. I still talk even when we're watching the episodes. Anyway. My hair's a mess. I did not have time to organize it. You know, when you go to an Airbnb or you go to what is it called? An Airbnb and just timeshare hotel. There's showers, there's nice bathing, there's good. You can bring your healthy kit, but when you go camping and all you have is a porta potty and nothing to wash your hands with and nothing to brush your teeth and blah blah blah, no sink, just a porta potty and there's no showers. Camping really does make you stink sometimes. So anyway, I will probably shower when this live stream's over. At least you can't tell, and I don't look like I stink from the camera, so that's good. And you unless you're here in person, you wouldn't be able to smell me. It's just smell like campfire. And it was only one night, 2 days. So yeah. So yeah, I mean it's only been like what, almost 48 hours since I last showered. Not too bad. It wasn't like a whole week or something. Man, I got a huge headache, like really bad. Ugh. Yeah, it was 2 days ago that I last showered. Alrighty. I'm ready to start. It's 6:58. Finally, I was gonna be like, if it's still 6:56 or 6:57, then I don't know what to do. But yeah, just since we have a second on our hands to start on time, if everyone can, hopefully you've had this past, hopefully you had Disney Plus pulled up, and if you don't, hopefully as you went to my live stream, you had these last 10 minutes to pull up Disney Plus as I've been talking. If you don't have it like right now, you're in big trouble because we're starting in 1 minute, so you better hurry up. I got headphones in, so let me put those in my ear. We're gonna start hopefully right on the dot. Okay. If your timestamp's at 0, it's 43 minutes and 50 seconds. Get it? 43 minutes and 50 seconds is on my Disney Plus version. And so your DVD might be something else, but make sure not a single second has played. We do watch our recaps from previous episodes. Even after we watch one episode, we watch the recap when we start the next one and the next one. So anyway, just for people new here. But yeah, without further ado, we will get started. 3 seconds until 7 o'clock. And 7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock right now. Don't push play yet. We always do a countdown. 3. When I say now, after 3, 2, 1, that's when we'll push play. Not when I say 1, but when I say now. Okay. Plus the live stream started a few seconds late, so to make sure it hits 10 minutes on the live stream, not the Facebook one. We're not going to wait until 7:01, but YouTube one. Now it's been 20 seconds, so we're going to start for for YouTube and Facebook. In three, two, one, now. That's foreshadowing. I love story with Emma and Hook. And Charming's been hit, if you remember, from one of the Lost Boys. This time you're following Pan's rules and not cheating by the book. Oh, so can't Pan's camp keeps moving. Speaking of which, we haven't seen Henry since the end of episode 1. He was not in episode 2 at all last week. So we haven't seen Henry since the first episode of the season. So now we really get to see see if Henry's strong enough to resist Pan. 'Cause we haven't seen much of that since he found out the lost boy he was working with was Pan. So you're forcing Henry to do target practice. And we have a fairy. If you watched my post a while back, Tinkerbell was one of the trailers, and I told you Tinkerbell was coming. So I didn't send out a warning, by the way, about our live stream tonight. So sorry again, bad reception. Got too busy when we got back and focused on unpacking. So sorry. Thor's hammer. Wow. Didn't think that would be in there. That's funny. See something that looks like Thor's hammer. Rumple has it. And we're still seeing it. Speaking of Robin Hood, I mentioned last week we changed actors from season 2. The guy who plays Lucifer in another show could not reprise his role as Robin Hood. So this one's more likable though. Yeah. Regina has a past with her. Tinkerbell. Sorry. Not much commentary, am I? At least for the newcomers, they might enjoy that. But I'm just trying to send out a last minute reminder that we're live right now. So don't mind me. Hopefully you're watching the show and not staring at my face. So Regina doesn't want to become evil, and Rumpel doesn't want to waste his time. This is before Regina became the evil queen, and she's thinking the only way out is pretty much to commit suicide. But as she's jumping off her castle, Tinkerbell saves her life. Welcome, our Tinker Fairy. I do not know the actress's name, but I believe you just met her in her character form. Meet our Tinkerbell. Live action Tinkerbell. Probably better than the Disney live action, right? She looks exactly like the Tinkerbell in the cartoon. The ones in the live action don't look as much. She doesn't want to admit it that did it on purpose. You wanted to kill yourself. Like, seriously. Luckily, you didn't, 'cause it's in the present day, so why would she die in a flashback, right? Of course, we knew that was. Who? I don't think anyone can replace Daniel. I know exactly who, but except we know that Neil's alive and Emma doesn't. Mhm. Ugh. Hmm. Henry. Don't worry, he's not gonna kill Felix. He's not gonna kill a lost boy. He's actually not gonna even aim for the apple. He almost tried to kill Pan, but Pan is too powerful. Don't trust anything Peter Pan says. In this story, he is not a hero. For a boy to resist temptation, that must be hard. It's easier for an adult to, but not as easy for a kid. Kids are still learning good from evil. Oh. Mm. Charming's going to his death soon. He better tell his family. And Tinkerbell's in trouble for helping Regina. Exactly. Some light. You need to put some light in to bring her out. She finds that with Henry, though. We all know that. Still. That is true. We saw that in season 2, but it was a different Robin Hood at the time. Because he's been there as a boy. The shadow came and he sacrificed his life for the darlings. It's not the first time Neil has done this. Operation Henry. That's a great name. Operation Cobra. Now you have Operation Henry. And I think the tomorrow one was Operation Nightshade or Mantis or something. Yep. Henry. If Henry was here, he would call it Operation Henry. Yeah. You were an evil queen in her past, so you probably did something horrible, and I'm not going to share what that is for spoiler purposes. Keep your veil. You know she doesn't redeem the queen, so she's going to be in big trouble by the end of this flashback. We haven't seen her in present day yet. But we will shortly. Her true soulmate. We're going to find out who he is, by the way, in this episode. You know, this reminds me of the seminary teachers who told me just because they're the one, that doesn't mean they're the only one. And so, therefore, sometimes you're always like, well, who's the one I'm meant to marry? Sometimes, even though God has a plan, there's multiple. You can have multiple because I have a grandma who got married twice. He spent about 10 years with one of my grandpas, and then remarried to another one. With that, we got the blessings of more uh, aunts and uncles. So anyway, so anyway, there's more than sometimes there's more than one that you're supposed to be with. So, but no one will ever replace your Daniel, But that doesn't mean you can't find a new soulmate or love or husband. Actually, they were engaged before Daniel died. So a new fiance, yeah, too. Oh, there he is. You didn't see his face, but we will. We got Tinkerbell kidnapped Regina. What a shame. Okay. I'm almost done sending out this last minute reminder. We're halfway through the episode. Yes, Emma, you were a orphan. You probably had places like that. Used to live in a treehouse, Emma. Cool. She was a bandit on the road. Yeah. Yep. Uh-oh. Gina's in trouble. Tinkerbell's mad at you. What did you do to her? Oh, Snow White had a bunch of tree houses, I bet, after she ran away from the huntsman. How did it how did Tinkerbell become so, like, she's not evil, but, you know, dark, and it's all happened when she met Regina. You didn't go in. Mhm. That's not true. It does change her later in the show when he she meets him in present day. No, that's heartbreaking. Regina, you lost your chance at a happy ending. This is sad. Regina. Again, another bad choice from your past. You don't get a third chance, Tinkerbell. I'm sorry. Oh, no. She lost her wings. S Mhm. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but there's a sequel to the Disney cartoon Peter Pan, where if you literally say you don't believe in fairies, Tinkerbell's light dies out. Well, in the cartoon movie, she actually dies, but in Once Upon a Time, she loses her wings and becomes a human instead of a fairy. So, hmm, exactly, you'd have been happier. Well, I mean, you did, but yeah, Tinkerbell's making the same choice. Tinkerbell's now at the possibility of taking revenge on Regina for ruining her life. Exactly. Evil Tinkerbell. Aw. Yep, with Henry, she got something right. It's never too late. Well, even if she kills you, I don't think it's ever too late. Mhm, mhm. Alright, I'm done with the announcements. Okay, and we still have 13 minutes left. 4 boys with missing fingers. Ban, you are evil. Tinkerbell decided to spare Regina's life. That is true. We saw the scroll in season 2. He pictured Henry before he was even born. Mhm. You're the bo your mother's the savior, and your father is also the son of a dark one. I guess you do kinda have light and dark, Henry. on both sides of your family. Good job, Henry. You're strong. Keep making right choices. You saw that scroll in season 2. It's just a picture of Henry before, which Pam made before he was born. In that case, can you draw a portrait of my future children? I want to know what my children will look like when I get married and have kids. Mulan has deep feelings about someone. Better take Belfire's word for it. Not yet. Little do they know is that Emma's almost seen someone else. So we kind of have a love triangle because we've also learned recently Hook has an interest in Emma, who they still think Belfire's dead, of course. Do it, do it. Grab the shadow. Jump onto the shadow. Pairing an adult to Neverland. There we go. Neil's on his way to Neverland. And he can finally tell the heroes that he's alive. And he survived his gunshot through the portal. Oh man. This means we have to say goodbye to Mulan again, after we say goodbye to her and Aurora in season 2. Now we have to say goodbye to them again. We didn't see them they are like Henry, they're also people we didn't see in episode 2 last week. Just episode 1. Just episode 1. Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, she loves Aurora. Mulan loves Aurora. Cute. Oh. Well, sorry, Mulan. Aurora's taken by Philip. That was not what she was gonna say. She was gonna say, "I love you," but, yeah, well. Yep. She's leaving them to join Robin Hood's band. Yep. And this will be the end of Mulan for a while. She does not actually show up in season 4, so we will see Aurora later in season 3. We'll not see Mulan until season 5. Not spoiling any plot details. I'm just saying the character doesn't make his on-screen appearance after this episode. So for those who will miss Mulan, sad to say she's gone in 6 minutes. There's still 6 minutes left of this episode. Hook and Tinkerbell definitely have a pass because we've seen the cartoon. But Hook's only in this version. Hook's the good guy. Yeah, leave Regina out of it. Hmm. Hmm. But Charming's hiding the secret that he's on his deathbed. I think Snow White's gonna be devastated if you don't tell her when she finds out that you are already hitting your way to being a dead man. Then secrets are not great ways to keep your loved ones together. And of course, Henry looks at the scroll. Okay, temptation. It's just a picture of him, though. Nothing too dangerous. You know, Pan about his mortal existence before he was even mortal. And Bellfire has finally made it to Neverland again, but as an adult and not a kid, like we left him in season 2. Hmm. Is he now? Emma and Hooks and Snow and Charming still think Bellfire's dead. Everyone still thinks Bellfire's dead. He hasn't found the heroes yet. Hmm. This is important. Man with the lion tattoo. No. Oh. Oh. You ruined his life, Regina? Hmm. Interesting. Okay. We got it. This doesn't sound like a cliffhanger. Even though this is our last time of seeing Mulan, this has something that will come into play later in the show, and Mulan won't be there. Here we go. Look, Robin Hood, the guy with the lion tattoo, has been revealed to be Robin Hood. How's that for an episode? Did you see that coming? I know I did. I seen this before. Yeah, so okay. You can push the next episode, but don't start it yet. We're gonna pause it. Okay. There should be 44 minutes and 5 seconds left if you have the Disney Plus version. Otherwise, don't play a single second. We'll watch the recap. So yeah. So yeah, from last time we were it took us a whole episode to be introduced to Pan and everyone to get onto the island. And then the second episode, because of the special, we only did 2 episodes last week. The second episode, we didn't see Bellfire or Henry at all. It was just focused on the heroes and Emma trying to admit her feelings about being a lost girl. That was emotional at the time. And then threatened that Henry would not want to. Pan at the end threatened that Henry won't want to leave once they find him, because he's trying to convince the heroes that Henry hasn't forgiven Emma for abandoning him in the hospital. As far as what we just watched, we finally got introduced to Tinkerbell, but she had a little bit of a dark side. Luckily, Regina brought some of the light back in. So, they might, Once Upon a Time might have its own twist of heroes and villains, but they don't turn everyone into a villain. Tinkerbell's an okay fairy. There's only one evil fairy in the show that will never become good, but I will not talk about her because that's a later plot detail. But anyway, yes, Tinkerbell is a good fairy. Overall, she didn't crush Regina's heart. For ruining her life in the process of not of ruining hers, whatever. My words are getting twisted. Okay, anyway. But now, yes, they have Tinkerbell on their side. Bellfire made it to Neverland, but he has not found the heroes yet. So all they know is that Neil died. Rumple, we haven't now that we've seen Henry and more Neil this time, we haven't seen Rumple at all in this episode, and he will appear in the next episode for sure because the next episode is called Nasty Habits, and I know for a fact that this one's more Bellfire and Rumple based episode. So anyway, Rumple doesn't even know Bellfire's alive, but he probably will find out in the next episode if the episode's heavily focused on them. So yes, if you watched my trailers from a few days ago, the episode is about the next episode we're watching is more details about Neverland and Bellfire and Lost Boys and Rumple. Because we know at the end of season 2, Bellfire became a Lost Boy. However, the flashback we're about to get is before all that happened. Still, we get to know a little bit more about some history that I'm not going to get into because I don't want to spoil for newcomers, but for those, you know what I'm talking about. Possibly. As far as the big plot reveal, that is not going to happen in this upcoming episode. So for those who do know what I'm talking about, maybe you're not knowing what I'm talking about exactly. We are going to get some history on Pan, but not the big plot reveal. So, okay. Anyway, we won't get there tonight. We're still kind of at the beginning of season 3. This is a half a season arc. So, all our plot reveals will not happen until we get halfway through the season. So anyway, we're just getting started, so be patient. But this season is more fast paced than the other couple seasons because it's not a whole season this time; it's a half a season arc. So anyway, things are picking up pretty fast. So without further ado, we'll start right into our next episode. It is 7:46, so let's just get started. Again, timestamp at 0. And let's see. Yes, we'll start right at 7:47. So this episode starts 2 minutes later than the last one, how it started on time. But that's okay. This one will finish right at 8:30, and then we could jump into the next episode. But anyway, yes, we're going to start the next episode. Just give me a second. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I had something pop up on my computer I needed to get rid of. But now we can really start. Not when I say one, when I say now. 3, 2, 1, now. We also haven't we also haven't seen a lot of Belle lately either. We haven't seen a lot of Belle lately either. Okay. Stop saying Bellfire. Neil Neil knows this. He was a lost boy. He knows all of Pan's tricks and games and plans, and I said plans already. See, he's been with the Lost Boys long enough to outsmart him. And possibly Pan, too. Exactly. Campfire! Lost Boys! Woo! Remember the fairy tale of the Pipe Piper? Well, they combine that with Peter Pan here. He's the Pipe Piper in this episode. Not really a spoiler. Nothing important. Just wanted to say that. Um, being an evil Rumple, that's for sure. Yeah. Rumple and Sun flashback, which we haven't had since season 2. So, and the Neverland is heavily based on their relationship, given the fact that Neil at the end of season 2 ended up in Neverland, becoming a lost boy. Peter Pan is definitely a hard target on this relationship. So we need to have a Bellfire or Rumple and Sun flashback in this arc. Exactly. Well, yeah. Yeah. There's a little history here where the only way Pan's gonna die is if Rumple dies with him. It doesn't make sense, but it actually does when you know all the plot details. Let's just say Pan dealt. Greg and Tamara, they're dead. We don't like them anyway. Pan's a better villain. Neil taught you that. Don't break in unless you know the way out when you're stealing from stores. Neil's the only one who knows how to get off this island without Pan's permission. Huh. Well, they don't even know he's alive. Imagine you think he's dead and he's not alive to tell you his plan to get off the island. Luckily, did this Neverland arc first out of all the half seasons we had. I mean, I should have not said that, but let's just say something happens that doesn't that wouldn't work out if this was later in the show. So, but anyway, because we know he's alive and we know Neil's alive, so he could tell them how to get off this island. But he might die again. Who knows? That's why it's good to get this arc over with before any characters might leave the show. Especially since season 7 will be a reboot and almost everyone will be gone. I know. A lot of spoiler there, sorry. So Rumpel knows that Bellfire's alive, but not everyone else knows that. He left. This is before he fell in a portal, though. So Hamlet. That's a funny town name. Ha ha ha. Rumple. Ha ha ha. That was back when he was more evil. Yep, exactly. Pan had some kind of magic, and the price for that magic was is that he couldn't die, and it was a good price. He couldn't die unless Rumple died with him. So yeah, the only way to kill Pan is to kill Rumple too. It does make sense, but it will when the whole plot is revealed. You gotta get squid ink. Squid ink can it held Rumple before. It can hold Pan, you know, for a short moment, enough time for them to get Henry before it wears off. No, since they can't kill Pan without Rumple in the process, there's other ways to defeat a villain without killing him. Fate's worse than death. Just go to prison. Hmm. Neil drew all those. Neil drew all those. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. That's not your son. You don't know which one it is 'cause they're all wearing masks. Haha. Yes, Rumple and Pan knew each other before. Grown up and become the dark one. Get it? Pan and Rumple knew each other when they were kids. Except Pan didn't grow up. Rumple did. All Pan knows about his father. Hmm. Well, all right, got earwax. Trying to clean it off. Hmm. Yeah. Nah, I know what it is. Only people who feel lost and unloved can hear his pipes. And Henry doesn't feel lost or unloved because he has a mother who loves him, 2 mothers. He knows it. Henry heard that. He knows you're keeping his family from him. And Henry knows Pan is keeping Henry's family from Henry. They might have just found a way off the island. Name changing a lot, huh? Rumple abandoned Neil. Yes, because a father abandoned Rumple and Rumple abandoned Neil. Abandonment runs in the family. Neil was smart. He coped the handle that Pan was going to grab to stop himself from getting injured. Uh oh. The prophecy that Henry is Rumple's undoing, and the only way Rumple was going to be reunited with this son is by killing Henry. Little did he know that would be his grandson. Remember from season 2? Hmm. Flashback to season 2. Recall. He won. Okay, Neil, you have a point, but he wanted to do anything, even if it meant killing a child. He wanted to do anything to be reunited with his son. Wrong way to do it, but exactly. Well, that was a long time ago, and of course, Rumple's not dark enough to kill his grandson. So, but Neil didn't know about this prophecy, and so I can understand why he doesn't want to trust Rumple after what he found out. But you have to understand, Rumple's been trying to reunite with you for a long time. Yep, you're gonna lose your son either way. He falls in a portal. We all know that. Ouch. There you go, another way to lose your son. Oh, poor Rumple. All your mistakes on camera. Hmm. That's not what's gonna happen. Exactly. Bellefire's your happy ending, not Belle. She's a possibility, but you love your son. Mhm. Prophecy was a long time ago, though. Rumple's been making better choices since then, though. Knowing him from the. Mhm. Yep. He did leave Bellfire behind for the power of the dagger. Squid Ink was on that leaf. Squid Ink was on that leaf. Hmm. Oh, how sad. A broken relationship between a father and a son in present day. Rumpel is very hard to be forgiven, especially in having seen the whole show. He doesn't kill Henry. He goes back on his word on a bunch of other things that happen. And he actually does become a villain in later seasons. So Billfire has the right not to trust him, but not in this arc. He's actually being a hero in this arc. So but he has a hard time avoiding evil. Aw. Well, he's alive though. No one knows except for Rumpel. And Charming's on his deathbed. Um, um, well, Charming has a secret, and something is going to happen to him if you don't do something soon. And Bellfire should have never left Rumple behind, even though he was a villain in the past. He should have forgave Rumple because you're about to see why. Yes, Rumple becomes a villain later on, but he has not chosen temptation or fallen into sin yet. He's making the right choice as of right now. So you can trust Rumple for this arc of the season. He's making right choices in the Neverland arc. Talk about a rock in a hard place. Ouch. Plot twist. Pan let Neil go. Uh oh. Oh, talk about a father fighting for his son. Rumple's fighting for Neil. Neil's fighting for Henry. Generations, generations. Hmm. Can they? Can bad habits be broken? Maybe for a while, but then you're gonna make wrong choices in later seasons that will bring bring back those habits. Aw. Only Rumple knows that he's alive. Neil needs to get to everyone else to let him know that he's all right. Imagine if your whole family thought you were dead and you couldn't prove it that you were alive. How sad it is to make them think that way. Mhm. Uh-oh. Henry is now feeling like a lost boy and unloved. He's hearing the pipes. That's not good. He's about to become a lost boy. This is bad. They got to save Henry before he becomes too lost. Talk about playing pipes with the pretty much devil himself, pretty much. And the ultimate villain. Well, this is only episode 4 out of 11. So the party is still just young. We're not even close to it being over here. Well, that wraps up that episode. Okay. Get the next one ready, but don't push play yet. 0 seconds. And if you have the Disney Plus version, that's 44 minutes and 4 seconds to you. That's how much should remain left on the bar, but anywhere else, Hulu DVD is different because of the Disney Plus credits. Anyway, so yes, we got a flashback. Bellfire, after his encounter with Hook and took him by the Lost Boys. That wasn't his, even though he wasn't the Lost Boy they were looking for. Even though didn't have the heart of the truest believer. Bellfire, that wasn't Bellfire. That was not Bellfire's first trip to Neverland. This flashback, as we discovered before Rumpel lost Bellfire through a portal, he didn't go to Neverland, but he met Peter Pan before that, and because of the pipe that Pan was playing, it drew Bellfire in. But before he was taken to Neverland with the Lost Boys, Rumpel got him back. However, he didn't give Bellfire a choice. He didn't give him free agency to come back. He just forced Rumpel, instead of taking Pan's deal, which he probably should have, because then Bellfire, he could have had his son back for good. But since Rumpel was too scared that he would want to stay, Rumpel fell into, as this episode calls, a nasty habit of not trusting in his own son and taking his free agency away and forcing him back into the hobble where they live. Anyway, so now we know a little more history, because as this was happening, Pan was throwing out little details like, "Hey, laddie," something you would call a little child, or "It's been a long time." And then sometimes during the conversation, we ran into things like, "As a boy, me and Peter Pan, we grew up together and we knew each other. And then Pan betrayed me," Rumpel told his own son, So now that's not the big plot reveal. Season 3 is very good. It's better than season 1 and 2. But that is not the thing that's going to throw you off your seat. You are just getting the tip of the iceberg. They're beating around the bush about it. And I am too, because when I started this marathon, I invited people who never seen the show before. So I'm trying to beat around the bush as much as I can, because I don't want to ruin this big plot twist. It's one of the best in the entire show. So out of anything I might accidentally spoil from season 1 and 2, this is definitely not something I would want to spoil. So anyway, but from what you gathered in this episode, you should know at this point that Rumpel and Peter Pan knew each other when they were kids. And Pan was there when when Rumpel was being abandoned, by his own father. And now that abandonment runs into the family. Neil abandoned Henry, but that's not his fault, because he didn't know Henry was born. Emma kept that from him. And then Rumpel abandoned Neil, but that and though that was on accident, he at least knew that he had a son, and he got to see half of his childhood before losing him. And then so you had Henry, who was abandoned by Neil who was abandoned by Rumpel, and Rumpel was also abandoned by his father. So it runs in the family. Abandonment runs in the family, and it also runs on Emma's side. Emma, wasn't abandoned, but was dropped in a wardrobe by her parents. So anyway, abandonment really runs in the family. And just to kind of wrap this all up and start the next episode, Pan witnessed Rumpel's abandonment. So Peter Pan and Rumpel, spent Peter Pan was part of Rumpel's childhood. Let's put it that way. We all, that's what you should have gathered from this episode. So that's not spoiling. However, there's a little more to the twist than what is led on. And we're not going to even get to that twist tonight. So that's why I'm so bummed that I can't say it. But anyway, I probably hinted too much at it to maybe have you figure it out. But if you haven't figured it out yet, the big plot twist, then stay tuned, for the next episode, and it's not going to be in the next episode, but stay tuned for the next episode, because we're going to watch that tonight. But stay tuned for next week if you want to know that big plot reveal. But don't go anywhere yet, because we still got one more episode to watch. I'm just trying to see really quick if we have any comments. No comments. Okay, so we're going to start the next episode. This one's called Good Form. This one is a origin story of Captain Hook. I know we kind of already had that with Mila and Rumpel's wife falling in love with Hook and Rumpel killing her for that. We have that, but we never really seen Hook in Neverland, and we didn't even see his first trip to Neverland. So Hook has more origin story that wasn't led on in season 2. So we're gonna get an origin story of Captain Hook. After this episode, we'll have a short Q&A, and then that'll be it for tonight. So, all right, it's 8:35. So by the time we start this episode, it'll probably be 8:36. Let me see. Yep. So 8:36. This episode will be over right around 49:15, around 8:39, 8:19. So they'll give us 10 minutes for Q&A. So yeah, let's start this next episode, and hopefully this will end our night on a great note. So, all right, without further ado, I hope your timestamps are at 0. Not when I say not when I say 1, but when I say now. We're gonna push play in 3, 2, 1, now. At 8:36. No second wasted. I was guessing it would be 8:36 when I started this episode. Whoa. Henry. Whoa. Whoa. You're just a kid. Don't resort into that violence. You just cut a lost boy's cheek. Our little boy is in the wrong hands right now. Those heroes better save him quick, before he does something he regrets or before Pan does anything to him. It- what would happen if you resist Pan? Probably not good. Hmm. They're gonna find a way to tell Henry to let them know that they're coming for him. Well, that's not true. Once upon a time, in a long sea, a long time ago, before Mela, before the Dark One. So before Captain Hook was a drunk, he was not a drunk. He doesn't drink rum. He didn't drink rum a long time ago. Once upon a time, he was a good pirate. So what happened that turned him evil? This is our flashback. We're gonna see how Hook became a villain. He's a hero now, but he was a villain in season 2, working with Cora. Remember? Captain Hook, Smee, Captain Hook, and his brother, Liam. I love that line. That's where I got it. That's where I say this a lot when I don't have a daughter myself. I sometimes tell people in the so awkwardest way, stay away from my daughter, and it's always weird. It's one I have weird sayings that I say when I feel like it. And this is when I started saying that because of this. And it's in the trailer too that sent earlier this week. Stay away from my daughter. Hook says to Hook with his sword in his hand. David might have just hit his death wish. The poison probably finally got to him. Uh oh. Nope, he's fine. I wanted to scare you guys a little bit. No, thank you. The poison's almost to your heart. And yeah. Hmm. Be a hero, Hook. You made that decision when you decided to go with them to save Henry. You're not a villain anymore like you were in season two. Prove it to the Charmings that you are being a hero and you're not out for Emma's interest. Well, maybe you are, but you're not gloating. Prove that you're not gloating too much on Emma by helping them save Henry. Mhm. A flying ship. Now, you probably recognize that from the cartoon. When both in the sequel and the original, Hook used that to fly the ship. After feeding Hook to the crocodile, Pan used that ship to take Wendy home. Hook ship flies. We all know that from the cartoon. Seen it happen before. We were just selling boats at camp earlier, and yeah, I was playing with my boat and pretending it was flying because of this. Second star to the right and straight on till morning. Listen to my mother. Charming saying that like he knows he's gonna die and he's letting it happen to himself. Don't worry, guys. We're not gonna lose a character. Well, we will lose characters in the show, even main, almost starring characters. Um, well, the reason why I say that is the protagonist Emma is gonna stick around, but the the sideline regular series regulars, we will use some lose some series regulars, especially in this season, but not charming, not charming. Don't worry. This is don't either. I would have prepared you for tissues if this was going to be a sad episode. Don't worry. Don't worry. Nothing to worry about. No one's dying today. Hey, it's a pig. Yummy. Kill it for food. Oh, Henry's becoming more like a lost boy. Hey, flashback to how season two ended. If Hook didn't steal that spoon, they would have not kidnapped Henry, and we wouldn't be in Neverland right now. Everyone would be living happily ever after. Actually, with Greg and Tamara failing to steal Henry. Ha! That is true. Liam is like the definition of charming. And you know how King James, he was a bad person who didn't care anyone about himself. He left Jack and the Beanstalk to die. Anyway, Jack is similar to Hook. No, no, no. James, Prince James is similar to Hook, and Charming is similar to Liam, being the hero and not the villain, kind of way. Pan's not wrong. We saw that happen with Charming. He got stabbed by some of this dream shed. No, he's not. He's telling the truth. We saw it in present day. Oh, you guys should have listened to Pan. Even though he's a bad guy, this is the. Don't say I didn't warn you. Yeah, exactly. Pan's a villain, but this is the one time you should actually listen to him. Dream Shade is poisonous. Like the old days. No. Hook, good job. You're making the right choice. Last time you didn't listen to you lost your brother. Exactly. But still, that's no reason to trust Pan now. I said you should have trusted him then, but not now. Hook. No, he's not gonna go through with the plan. He's became a hero since the end of season 2. um, you just dicked yourself with dream poisoning. Oh, Uh-oh. Wow, you have to resort to violence to try to talk to your son? Well, she did say in the first episode that that I don't care what we need, a villain, a hero, a pirate. We need to use all those skills, whether we could stomach them to death or not. She did say that. She cares so much about Henry, she's willing to lose other people's lives over it. The line between good and evil. Yeah, Regina's only took out the Lost Boy's heart to control him, not to kill him. She's using him to so he would be forced to tell Henry a message. Mhm. Mhm. There is a way to stop people from dying from dream shade, but it comes with a price. All magic comes with a price. Mhm. So the king lied about the dream shed, but there is something on Neverland that will heal any disease, and it's Neverland water. He disappeared. He's gone. He didn't want anything from you. He was right. Magic comes with a price, like literally. And we're going to see what that price is as Henry's thinking about home. And here's the boy who Regina has his heart. See, Regina's you just using the boy to control him. Grandma, he broke it so that Pan went beyond to him about knowing his family's alive and on the island trying to save him. Now he has hope. He can't feel a lost boy for long. Not if he has that hope. Not a happy ending as you think. Uh oh. Magic comes with a price, and you didn't pay it. This is the same thing bound to happen to David when he leaves Neverland? Oh, look, it's spreading to his face. Hmm. The price. You can never leave Neverland. So now David, he may have saved his own life, but as we saw with Hook's brother, he will die if he leaves Neverland. So if he wants to stay alive, he has to stay on Neverland. That's a good thing for him, but he can't leave Neverland. So what does that mean for the rest of the show, right? Exactly. Hook's a good guy. He saved Charming's life. Yep. Regina's here to do all the dark magic. Let her do this sinful stuff, I guess. Charming's happy to see snow. I wonder why. Pan got to it first. That's a lie. He's lying because he doesn't want to say the truth. He he did, but still the wrong kind of credit. He saved your life, but you were already leaving as a dead man. Yeah, good job, Regina. You don't drink. Yeah. Mates. Yeah. Emma and Hook share a first kiss. Imagine when they find out Neil's alive. Talk about a love triangle, right? Who will win, Emma and Neil or Emma and Hook? I know. For anyone who doesn't like a love triangle, trust me, this one is not the main focus of the season and it doesn't last very long. A decision gets made pretty quickly, actually, by the end of this arc. Or, no, it's actually in the middle of the next arc, but we're going to watch the Wonderland series before then. So I guess not as quickly as you normally would if we weren't watching the spin off after the Neverland arc. But anyway, Emma and Hook shared a kiss. What is that going to mean when they find Neil alive? They still think he's dead. I get too excited. I play with pencils. That's how we got our evil Captain Hook. Though instead of fighting fair with his enemies, he became an enemy. That wraps up that flashback. That wraps up that flashback. A good pirate, not evil pirate. Oh yeah, you do have a drinking problem. Fix that. Hook, you're a good pirate now. You should tell him. You should tell him the truth. And there's Neil himself, captured by the Lost Boys. Pan is really changing the game here. Drugged him. Oh no. Next to the other one, who else do you have captured? Who else do you have captured? The game's about to change. The battle to save Henry is getting more. And that wraps up these episodes. I know that leaves you on the edge of your seat of what's going to happen next. What's Hook going to do with the secret that Neil's alive? Is he going to tell Emma? Are they going to be able to save Neil? And then are they going to get an exit plan? So then they can after they get their exit plan from Neil, get Tinkerbell and save Henry. Wow. Well, I just said all of that in just the manner of credits. Okay. All right. Well, more. Oh, until then, well, until then, I wish I could wish you good night, but we have 10 minutes to do Q&A, and no one has left questions on here, unfortunately. That is sad indeed. Sad indeed. Where's our questions? Oh, I did get some the post that I made, forgetting to remind everyone about our marathon tonight. I got some likes from some people. And one of my high school friends accepted my friend request. Sweet. Okay. So yes, I got a lot of Facebook things to catch up on. Camping with no reception puts you behind on social media. But yeah, I can look at that stuff later while we're still live right now. Okay, there's no questions. Okay, so then in that case, with no Q&A in place, just to kind of recap what we just watched. So we found out the true origins of Captain Hook and his brother Liam, who died from dream shed poisoning, and he was able to save his life, but he didn't pay the price, so his brother ended up dying. Charming, on the other hand, Hook learning his lesson, warns Charming, unlike his brother, and tells him that if he leaves the Neverland, he'll die. So now Charming is stuck on this island, and he doesn't have to worry about, passing away as soon as they save Henry. So anyway, but he is stuck on this island, and Snow doesn't even know about it. And so, again, secrets are not a great way for relationships. Which is kind of funny because knowing the show and knowing exactly what happens next, actually, it involves spoiling everyone's secrets. Now, we know some of them. We know Charming's hiding the fact that he was going to die and then he healed himself. And then we know Hook is hiding the fact that he kissed Emma, Now, and once they find Neil's alive, that's going to be a shocker. Um, there's, but and then the show gets really deep. I'm not going to spoil anything, you know, but like, these secret, there's a point, there's a plot point to why they're doing this. Why they're having Charming keep secrets. Is there all the secrecy? There's it all has to do with Peter Pan's plan. It's and now that we're halfway through the plot, things are going to start solving themselves, starting with these secrets. So I'm looking forward to next week because the very next episode even is when they start spoiling these secrets. We don't technically save Henry quite yet. Again, this is 11 episodes. We just watched 3 through 5. Our next week's episodes is 6 through 8, not all the way to 11 yet. So no, the plot's not going to be resolved, but it's going to start getting resolved as we're getting closer to the end of this arc. So next week, starting with the secrets, they're all going to be exposed. And what's funny is that I'm not spoiling. I'm just sharing what we should already know as an audience. Charming's Emma kissing Hook. But there's also secrets that weren't even mentioned in the show that will be exploded too next week. And so, and I'm not going to spoil those ones because I know for sure you don't know about those ones. And so I kind of did bring them up at the beginning of season 2, knowingly that, that you wouldn't even consider thinking about them until season 3. But I purposely did that because I knew you would probably forget. So unless you go back and re-watch my season 2 reactions, specifically the first few episodes, where I mentioned some secrets that even Snow White has that she's not telling Charming. Go watch those reactions, or don't bother spoiling yourself from season 2, and just be surprised when we watch next week's secrets. Okay, it's really gonna, Pan's plan is to really tear this family apart, and that's by forcing them to spill their secrets. Think of your deepest, darkest secrets, right? And you don't want to tell a family member because it's going to hurt them, right? Secrets are not a great way to keep a family together, but sometimes telling them can also tear a family apart as well as keeping them. So it's best not to have a secret in the first place, but if you have them, I'm sure everyone does, anyway, it's just gonna, Pan's plan is to tear this family apart with secrets, and he almost succeeds in doing so. I'm not spoiling. I said almost. So anyway, you know how fairy tales go. Good versus evil. Good always wins. So it's not really a spoiler. Anyway, but they're secrets, and I'm so looking forward without spoiling. And if you consider everything I just said now as spoiling, without spoiling from here on out, I can't wait to have you watch what those secrets will be. Because it gets so emotional. So yes, just when you thought Charming was gonna die this episode, I told you this is not an episode for tears. No one's dying. He was able to save his life. But next episode, no one's dying either. But people are spoiling secrets, and exploding secrets can still cause you to cry. So I would invite you to wear a tissue next week because these secrets are pretty emotional. And we're also going to find out the big, because again, we're covering 3 episodes, 6 through 8. As along with along with exploding secrets. In fact, of the next episode, towards the end of the night next week, we're also going to get that big plot twist I was talking about. The biggest one in season 3 and possibly out of the whole show. At least maybe not the biggest plot twist, but one of the biggest. But when I mentioned there was a big one in season 2, I said we're not going to get another one like that until the Neverland arc in season 3. I didn't say Neverland arc at the time, but now it's not a spoiler because we're in the Neverland arc. Anyway, the big plot twist is coming up next week, so you probably definitely want to tune in next week for the big plot reveals. If you miss next week and you don't watch the episodes, it's not going to make sense. So anyway, next week is going to be pretty big plot-wise. Same with the week after, actually. So anyway, 2 weeks down with Neverland, 2 weeks more to go. We're just filled the glass half full. We're halfway through this arc. So, yes, because it's 11 episodes, right? I only did 2 episodes last week with the Once Upon a Time special to make it 12. So that's how we're able to do 3 every week. If it weren't for Once Upon a Time specials, we would have to do, let's see. No, we would have to do 2 sets of 4, actually, because because 369 with only 2 episodes left, it would have to be 4, 8, 11. But luckily we don't have to do that, because with the recap specials that we do, one per arc equals 12. And so with 22 episodes a season and 11 episode arcs, you got 12 for each arc. So it works, you know. That's why we don't have to do 4 episodes anymore, because we're not in a sloppy, messy plot like season 1 and 2. Well, season 1 was pretty simple, break the curse, blah blah blah. But you know, we're not in a full season arc anymore. These are half season arcs, so they're easily able to be divided. And so yeah, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 special, or the special is usually before the arc starts. So special 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's how I plan on going through it throughout this for the time we're in the marathon right now. Not the remainder of the time. When we get to season 6, things will be less half season arcish. But that's again season 6, and that's not until we get towards the end of the show, because there's only 7 seasons. So 6 and 7, we'll worry about the bridge when we cross it. But half season arcs for the next 3, 4, 5, and I guess Wonderland, except it's 13 episodes. We'll have to do 4 episodes since it's 1 past the 12. But anyway, you know, putting Wonderland aside, we don't have to do 4 episodes as far as the main show goes, because everything's lining up perfectly. So yes. So with that said, next week we'll cover 6, 7, 8, and then, you know, 9, 10, 11. So anyway, halfway through the arc, we've been through 6 episodes, 5 episodes of the real show, but 6 episodes if you count that recap. And then we got 6 episodes to go. So anyway, looking forward to next week for sure. It is 9:27, and I got nothing else to say. Now it's 9:28. It just changed times as I said that, but yes. Nevertheless, I will not end this for another 2 minutes, because we plan to go till 9:30. Again, no comments, but oh, now I finally have a comment. My mom just said hi Ben. So that's the only comment I got today finally. It was funny. I actually had a cousin who said he was going to comment. Didn't get anything from him. So anyway, well, I guess still trying to wait till 9:30. But you know, that wraps up pretty much everything for tonight, I guess, with not much more to say really. Definitely looking forward to next week. If you got my post from last week, I said hashtag save Henry. I don't know if you got that. But people back when they were watching this live, they were supposed to put hashtag save Henry on their social media accounts. So you can do that in whatever post you're making for this marathon. Hashtag save Henry. You can also put hashtag Tinkerbell if you believe in fairies. I don't want to really give spoilers, but there's going to be a very heavily mermaid episode next week. So hashtag, actually the one they used will give a spoiler. Okay. I hate to say this, but think of a Disney princess who's a mermaid. Hashtag her if you believe in mermaids for next week. I hate to say that. Okay, fine. Ariel's coming. It's not really a spoiler if I don't tell you what she does in the show. Anyway, hashtag Ariel. You know, this week if you believe in mermaids. Hashtag Tinkerbell this week if you believe in fairies. And then hashtag save Henry. There's more coming, but that's for later episodes. So anyway, you know, I kind of did that last week, last minute, as I was posting about the live stream and how, you know, every time I end a live stream, I usually share the link after. Well, you know, anyway, I put that in there last minute, and I didn't talk about it in the live stream last week. So yes, in your post this week, hashtag save Henry, hashtag Tinkerbell, and hashtag Ariel. Do it if you believe in fairies, to mermaids, and saving Henry. Okay, anyway, now I've filled up the time. It is 9:30. So now I have said enough to end our live stream right on time. I don't intend to end early. I do have live streams in the past that I've gone overtime with, but anyway. All right, now that that's wrapped up, we filled up our Q&A time. I'm going to say goodbye. I should say goodbye to Facebook first, because Facebook is not going to be live forever. It's going to go away after a whole month. So, all right, bye-bye, Facebook people. And I will end YouTube shortly right after. Okay. Okay, 2 hours and 39 minutes on the live stream count. In just about 5 seconds, it's going to say 2 hours and 40 minutes, and that's when I'm going to click end live stream. End live stream. Okay, bye. 5 stars. That was awesome. Okay. Now I gotta go do YouTube. I'm sorry, guys. I need to say goodbye to you guys as well. 2 hours and 41 minutes. Perfect. Because you guys started a minute before YouTube and you're going to end a minute. Before Facebook, and now you're going to end a minute after Facebook. All right. Bye, y'all. Until next week.